to Atlantic Television Network. It's another beautiful Sunday morning, and the program is Atlantic Sunday, where we bring you hot juice in Nigeria. Remember that Atlantic Sunday is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chats and conversations on special interest topics, on news, events, and stories through correspondence reports, expert opinion, and stakeholders analysis. Today, we will get to look at stories from different parts of Nigeria, starting with Sokoto State, where the PDP faults government spending of 1.2 billion naira on 25 boreholes. Alright, and then from the National Assembly, Senate Committee urged to review Constitution with care. And then down to the immigration story, where FG can't subsidize passport fees. This is what the minister has stated. On economy, oil, gas companies owe the government, that's the Nigerian government, about 66 billion naira. This is a statement from NAT. On road construction, federal government to toll Lagos-Ibadan Expressway upon completion. On water resources, will ensure projects completion. That's what the minister is saying. And on bribe, one of the hottest in Nigeria for the past 1 week, prison controller suspended over allegations on Bobrisky. And remember, Nigerians have been looking forward to the 1st of October protests by Nigerians. Well, we have the organizers of the hashtag End Bad Governance Nigeria protest. They're seeking security during the October 1st protests. Okay, we'll go on a short break. After that, I have my guests already seated in the studio, and we'll delve straight to the discussion of these amazing topics. Please stay with us on ATN.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN. Sports and documentaries. So catch all your bits.
Pleasure knowing you're still with us on Atn Sunday. Quickly, I will let you know who my guests in the studio are. I have the barrister here with me, Barrister Umehe Victor. He is, like the title implies, a lawyer, and he is also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you on ATN Sunday.
Thank you very much for having me.
Alright, and then we also have with us on my right, we have Ambassador Ekiye Ekiye. He is also a public affairs analyst, ready to talk to us about what's going on in Nigeria. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
My pleasure. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend to you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Alright, let's go to our first story now. One of the trending stories we have, this one's coming from Sokoto State, where the Sokoto State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has expressed discontent with the state government's decision to spend 1.2 billion naira on drilling 25 boreholes. In a statement that was signed by the party's publicity secretary, Hassan Sanyi Nawal, the PDP highlighted the public outcry that followed Governor Ahmed Aliyu's announcement of the contract. The party criticized the contradictory explanations from state officials regarding whether the project involved repairs or new construction. The PDP also questioned the cost of the project, suggesting that even if it were a joint initiative with the federal government and the World Bank, paying 48 million naira for one borehole, that's per borehole, right, seems unreasonable. The party also scrutinized the governor's prioritization of spending billions on fencing streets instead of addressing banditry or crisis affecting the Eastern Sokoto. Now, he also further raised concerns about possible preemptive contract awards, citing evidence that work on the fencing had begun before the project was officially awarded now, which could be a breach of procurement laws. The PDP has called on anti-corruption agencies and the Sokoto State House of Assembly to investigate these potential violations, emphasizing the need for credible governance. I'd like to take you first on this one, Barrister. What your thoughts are on this story? The amounts that has been used per borehole, 48 million naira per borehole, the amount that has been used for the different number of boreholes that were erected or constructed.
Anybody who listens or sees the headlines, we say that the amount is outrageous because using billions to construct or repair about 25 boreholes For me, it's quite unreasonable. And then I don't really think they're actually being repaired, because assuming that the issue here is repair, that it means that there would have been some existing boreholes in all those places, and then probably those boreholes are not in use, and then they now want to fix them up for them to be used, and then they would have as well outlined the number of boreholes that they intend to repair, and then the PDPs would have also known that these are the boreholes that would be repaired. So I think what they want to do is to drill new boreholes. However, it depends on the standard also that they want the borehole to be. If the borehole is according to the standard that is required for people to have potable water, maybe they have looked at the areas that they have marked for the borehole. For instance, this is Ozuoba. Maybe they want, assuming that the one borehole will supply water for Ozuoba, Rumosi, Rumeki, Choba, Roma Logo, Rumokuta, Wimpy, such that kind of thing. Then you will know that it is going to be capital intensive, because it will require a lot of materials and some other thing that can supply water to these areas. So we don't really know the kind of borehole they are building. So if the kind of borehole is a kind of borehole that will supply water to a very large part of the city, then it will be capital intensive. So what we should first of all know or try to understand is the kind of borehole they are doing. But if it's just normal borehole that we see within our environment every day, I think the EFCC should march forward and
not just the State House of Assembly,
just throw their hook and drag whoever that is coming up with this thing. That's my own take on that.
Alright, so but then what about the contradictory statements that was referred to? The fact that they are contradicting their statements about whether it's a new borehole or if it's just drilling or repairing.
That's what I said. That's why I made that statement. Let us first of all understand what they want. They should come up, not we understand, but they have to inform us. It is the information they give to us that will determine our understanding. So the PDP is saying that it's contradictory. They don't know whether it's repair or drilling anyone. So they should come up to say we want to repair or we want to drill. Now, if there were existing boreholes which they now want to repair, people will know. So for me, they want to drill. Now the question is, what kind of borehole in their proposal, the borehole they are proposing to work on, what kind of borehole, what is the quantity of water supply and the environment that they want to put to fix all these boreholes? Is it going across the entire state, Sokoto state, or is just one local government, or just one community, or just one area that they want to fix the borehole? Do you understand? So let us know the extent of the borehole, and then from there we will now know whether the borehole is going to be capital intensive or not, or it's just the normal borehole we drill in our backyard which we have in our houses. If it's that one that we see every day that we have, that anybody can drill, we have to flog them. We have to tell the EFCC to.
But you know that sometimes when we have stories like this and we talk about cases like this, or investigations should be carried out, at the end of the day, we don't really get to hear the end of it.
No, you see, yes, what you are saying is completely correct. That is Nigeria for you. I have said this thing here time without number. But you see, things are coming up and I'm beginning to observe certain things. People are beginning to speak up. People are beginning to condemn a lot of things. While I was going through the internet last night, I discovered that this problem that is trending now on social media, a very dark man and the Bobrisky issue, pre-control of prison, I even heard that the man had been, asked to step aside, so that they can investigate the matter. So, but now you are seeing somebody that is coming up to speak up, with or without without encouragement from people. You see that innate desire to stand out and say or do the right thing. So now, because of what he did, you see the control of the prison have been put on check. And so if they bring money for this borehole and nothing happens, people will still speak up. In fact, there's an extent that people will speak up. those who were saddled with the responsibility of putting this borehole in place will even be scared of, taking any steps that they know that will put them into trouble. Now Nigerians are getting wiser.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of all this, what makes our speaking of different now?
I get social media. I gave you an example of this one now. Before, nobody will talk about it. Nobody, that man, nothing will even happen to the controller. But
rumors will just go around.
We just go back and settle somewhere and waste. But now they have asked him. They are holding him accountable. They are not asking, come and tell us whether what this person is saying is the true position of things or not. Do you understand me? I also heard that even the EFCC is now beginning to, call some persons within the EFCC to say, did you actually take 50 million?
We'll get to that story.
That kind of thing. So
we have it on our desk.
So the way things are going now, people are beginning to be interested. And let me also tell you, even those who are in this Tinubu's government, they are beginning to be aware that people are now conscious of whatever government is doing because of the protest upon protest upon protest that is happening.
The people in leadership positions are beginning to.
They are beginning to. They are beginning to be aware. They are beginning to be.
They are adjusting.
Yes. If you watch, Tinubu's government has not been able to shape the life of the people in terms of economy.
Okay.
But we have little report or issues or rumors of corruption. I don't know, like we used to.
You feel corruption has reduced.
Yes. It's not. I'm not saying that the news of corruption.
Okay, it's the news that
the news,
not the action. So it's not the action of corruption.
They may be doing it and then covering it, but we'll not be hearing the news.
Okay.
As it were, we hear it on daily basis. Do you understand? And so because people are waking up now.
While also involving state assemblies for comprehensive review, Adebo Ogundi, the chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures, he echoed these sentiments, urging timely collaboration to avoid delays in the constitutional amendment process. What do you think that we need to look into when we talk about constitution?
It may change Nigeria. I don't know if you understand me. So that's what the angle we should be looking at. Now, first of all, there are so many arguments from different corners that the constitution we are currently using, the 1999 constitution as altered in 2011, that constitution is not people oriented. That it was a constitution that was handed over to Nigerians by the military government, and that the constitution did not feature or embodied the way forward, and then it was written down and well documented.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately for Nigerians, as at the time that this national confab this thing was completed, good luck will not go back to government to now enforce the agreement as part of our constitution. So that has been a problem. Now when Buhari came to, we felt that Buhari would do something about the national confab, implement the decision that was reached in the national confab, incorporate it into the constitution by way of amendment or alteration. Buhari did not also do that and left. So Tinubu is also here. Now the question is, if Nigerians had come together from all nooks and crannies of this country to say this is the better way of going about this country, and then governments have successively come and go, why can't they enforce it? Because I think that the solution, or I wouldn't say solution, because solution only comes from God. In the case of Nigeria, it's only God that can give Nigeria a solution now. So but what seems like solution to us, which Nigerians believe that if we do it this way, it will work. Remember, those who gathered in that national confab, we are people who didn't have personal interest on what they will give
Okay.
if the national confab was enforced. These were people, Nigerians, who are facing the problems we have in Nigeria on a daily basis. So they quite understand the challenges of Nigeria, and then came and to say this is how it should be. So
what is the school of thought for? What was the recommendation that they came up with?
One of the recommendations, as I know as at then, was autonomy. That regions should be, or state confederation. States should be allowed to manage their resources and give account to federal, pay some percentage to federal government, and then manage whatever that is happening in their state. I think state police and so on and so on.
Okay.
So they tried as much as possible in their this thing, in the outcome. That's the agreement of wholesaler, to see how they could, through documentary means, reduce the government, the powers in at the center, and then try as much as possible to see how the government could be close to the people. You know, they also consider the issues of fundamental rights, environmental rights, and so on and so forth. So even the federal government knows that if the national confab is enforced, at least there will be light at the end. We will begin to see some light at the end of the tunnel, because for now we are not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. So, but if this thing, remember, people came from northern part of Nigeria, the eastern part, the western part, and every other part of Nigeria,
and came up with that recommendation.
On how things should be done. So, but why the recommendations contained in that document is yet to be enforced or considered is what we don't know. So now we don't know whether the current administration would lend their thoughts or eyes to that document. So, but I think that the constitution as it is, there should be some level of amendments or alterations in the 1999 constitution. Okay. If you look at section 6, subsection 6, paragraph C of the 1999 constitution, that particular section bars chapter 2 of the constitution from being enforced. And if chapter 2 of the constitution is enforced, the government will be very close to the people. What is chapter 2 of the constitution talking about? Assuming I know that I mean this way, I may probably have come with a copy of the constitution. I can, read it out. Now, if you look at chapter 2 of the constitution, it talks about national and national, social, and objective and principles. How the government should be able to run the states, bringing hospitals, making sure essential amenities are provided by the government. A lot of things that will aid welfare. So, but those who made the constitution knows that if they allow chapter 2 of the constitution to thrive without any hindrance, the people in government may not have room to live large the way they are living, because that chapter of the constitution will have completely brought in equality.
So advanced implementation of all
yes.
of these.
So what they now did was to introduce a kind of obstacle clause in the constitution in section 6, subsection 6, paragraph C, to now say that entire chapter 2 of the constitution is not enforceable.
Wait, hold on. When we talk about welfare, we have these packages now. Don't we have
hospitals
and all of
what we are saying, now, assuming that obstacle clause or that limit is not contained in the constitution, you can sue the government for not tying your road. You can wake up one morning and say, "Oh, we SIM didn't tie this road."
How does that sound?
Well, my brother, the lawyer, has spoken well. I feel that the issue of constitution review is important because times are changing.
Exactly.
And we need to moderate things in a way that will place us fit for global development. Having said that, I equally know that the constitution is not the reason why we are not progressive.
Okay.
Very, very well. Our challenge has been leadership problem. If you ask me, most of the bone of contention in that constitution, where some is even on religious grounds, where the Christians feel that they are not well accommodated in that constitution. And for people to also feel that the 1999 constitution shouldn't have been. It was a military era, and you are now metamorphosing into a democratic era. At least you have you need a working document. So the military should be commended, you know, for providing a working document. It doesn't mean that it must be a perfect one. And in 2011, right, it was reviewed, correct? That means that the Democrats now have also made more inputs. And it was not just the military that started to draft that constitution. There were still civilians who made a great input in that constitution that we have, the 2009, right? That's 2009 constitution now. 1999 rather, sorry. Now, the point I'm trying to make is the constitution did not stop the local government chairman to provide light for his people. The constitution did not stop any governor from constructing road or hospital for her people.
Of course it did not.
Yes. Now, I do not see any area where the constitution hindered progress as far as development is concerned. Because even if you talk about resource control, the one that our state governors, local government chairmen are receiving so far, are we having good dividends of it democratically? I mean,
let me now tell you, what you are saying is correct, but let me tell you where the constitution is not doing enough as a result of some provisions in it. The constitution provides how resources will be disseminated from federal government to local government and all of that.
Yeah.
Correctly, the way you said it didn't stop them from doing what they are supposed to do. But what they did, like I said earlier in chapter 2, all these things we are saying, road construction, those are the objective of government and other things. Now, they now made the constitution in such a way that if during election, for instance, during campaign, somebody said, I will do this road, I will give you pipe-on water, I will do this, I will do that. And then even in their budget, they do say all those things. At the end of the day, they don't do them. Do you know that the Constitution, by the provisions of that chapter 6, chapter 2, subsection 6, paragraph C, you as an individual, you cannot wake up to sue the government for not doing that as a result of that
okay. So in other words, it's not a legitimate contract.
Like how?
If the governors...
That social contract that between the people and government...
It's not enforceable.
Good as a result of that...
the clause over there.
So, but if that is removed, and then during campaign, somebody comes to say, in your place, I will do this, I will do that, and said all those things. And at the end of the day, the person,
you'll be accountable.
Completely. So that's the challenge with that constitution.
Okay, I think I'm only just coming from the moral angle to say that you have the resources to provide social amenities for your people as a governor, as a local government chairman. You shouldn't wait for constitution to force you when you have the resources and you know that this is what your people deserve and they need it. Now, again, I want to agree with my brother that there should be a kind of legislation that gives the citizens the power, the right to challenge when their social contracts is being abused by whosoever that is in authority. I think it will be a good one, you know. But again, even when we have that in place, will it still really work out where it looks as if with what we see, though there is little changes now, where it looks as if the governors are in charge of the courts in the state, the president is in charge in charge of the courts in the country. So I think that we should not always keep ourselves to the point of legality before we can make things work. I think if we see that this is our country, these are states, we should be patriotic enough to know that as governors, as local government chairmen, assembly members, we need to develop our people, not waiting for the law to compel us.
But now should we keep waiting for the people to do things morally? When in cases where we have people who are not actually carrying out the steps that they should, don't you think that is where the law should actually come in?
Yeah, that's why I said that the need for the constitution review is important, not just because of compelling people to do things because of the law. We already have some laws that the law is supposed to be enforceable, but in getting results in terms of the enforcement is still very poor. So I want to believe that it's not the legality that is making us not develop, because there are several laws that are enforceable, but yet we are not still getting results. But I feel let it be there, and then more so, I equally want to commend the organizers and for the call that stakeholders should be carried along. Civil society, different stakeholders that should meet and review this constitution. It's also another indirect confab, because the people who made up the confab are still stakeholders.
But there's a slight difference.
Okay.
The slight difference is the confab was a collection of people, independent-minded people from every part of Nigeria, who came. Royal Highness, opinion leaders, youth, market women, all manner of people. Yes, represented. People from each geographical zone who understands the problem of that particular zone. So they now came to say, this is how we can solve this problem. Now, this other one they are doing, it is those who are in government that are part of the corruption in this country. They may not be able to do it the way it should be, because they must surely have an interest to protect. Assuming that you have a business conglomerate where you are making money, and you know that if we amend this particular section of the constitution, it may touch on certain businesses out there, which you have. It will be difficult for you to easily give in to say, let's amend this one, when you know that amending that particular part of the law will touch you. So it should have been the way the national confab was done. Take people from different places. In fact, what is there for them to even implement the national confab?
Well, I think what I'm trying to state here is similar. The Constitution Review Committee, they will still take stakeholders. They will still invite civil society. Like the confab, the MBA were represented.
Yes.
Maybe Christian Association of Nigeria was represented, traditional rulers,
yes,
and Pengason, Labour, NANS, as the case may be. They still fall under civil society and stakeholders, just like the confab was. And the confab, for me, was more expensive. And if you look at it, if that was the best, what now happened to the results? So I think if at this point, you can't change everything one time. And that's why sometimes implementing most of those recommendations are difficult, because when you speak when you are in government is different from when you speak when you are out of government, because you may not be seeing things the way it is in government. And the government are the people that ought to look at these recommendations and implement them. So when they look at it and said, if we implement this one now, it will not really help us. It's a good suggestions. They are good recommendations. But for now, it's not timely to implement it. But they are wonderful ones. So I feel that even if they had wanted to implement it bit by bit, but the recommenders of those ideas and suggestions understood that they were the best. But in terms of implementation, it may not be the best. So I feel that hence there is a need for constitutional review, which is still synonymous to organizing confab, that will now become a document, if it is assented to become a part of our laws. And I also want to remind us that we are having new constitution, new laws every day, by the act of parliament, by the decisions of the Supreme Court. You know, the Senate are also passing new laws. So our constitution has not remained empty, because our senators have been making new laws. Mr. President has been signing new, assenting to most of these bills, and then the Senate are also deciding several cases, you know, which forms our laws, you know. So I think we are progressive in the issues of laws, but I want to feel that if this opportunity of constitutional review is given, those who are not lawyers, who may not find themselves in the courts, at the Supreme Court to decide cases, will not make input in new laws. If you are not a senator, you will not be able to make input in new laws. So civil society will now have opportunity of contributing in the review of our constitution. So it's a good one, and I believe that it should not just be the normal rhetorics of talking, gathering people, because of course government will invest money, and at the end of the day, the money that is invested in this committee again will now look like a jamboree, like the confab. So if we know that the areas we want to review, we are not ready to implement it, let's not even bring them and spend money. Let's concentrate on the areas that we can review. But to save our resources again, we can still pass through the Senate, we can still pass through the National Assembly, so that they can make laws for us with less expenditure.
Is it actually the issue that we have in Nigeria? You linked the constitution down to the slow pace of development, what seemed like the slow pace of development in Nigeria. Is that really the case that we have? Ambassador just mentioned implementation, and he also pointed out the fact that we have been having introduction of new laws, even though we are talking about a review, and some people, like he says, scrap everything and start over again. But is that really the issue that we have? What about the laws that we have that probably favors the people? Since you have said that probably would be the problem, that we need to look at the way the people can be included. What about the laws that actually favor the people? How far have that been really implemented?
No law favors the people more than the Constitution, because the Constitution is the ground norm. There is no law that has been enacted so far that compels government, or a governor, a local government chairman, or even the president to say whatever you say during your campaign, you must accomplish. Remember, the resources is there. Now, if there's a window of opportunity for people to directly hold those who are in government accountable, I think if you are opportunity to be in government, you'll be very conscious of your actions and activities. I don't know if you understand me.
How far have we really gone with implementation? How much attention would you say we are paying when we talk about
implementation of which implementation of which particular law? The National Assembly, yes, just like the way my brother pointed out, had enacted so many laws bordering on evidence, Freedom of Information Act, and CAMA, that's a Company and Allied Matters Act. Those things that are happening, they are there. But we are now talking about how can the private citizens hold those who are in government very much accountable directly. You cannot do that without first of all creating some windows of opportunities for the people to do that, because everything is embedded in the Constitution. Okay, let's talk about evidence. The Evidence Act enacted by the National Assembly. You can only talk about when issues of evidence arise, because every law has a purpose why it is made. One law does not cure the entire problem in the society, but only the Constitution, if properly done, can cure the entire problem of the society, because that is the main law. I don't know if you understand me. Just like the way I talked about the chapter 2 of the Constitution. Now, those who made that, the draftmen who drafted that Constitution, gave Nigerians hope in chapter 2 of that Constitution, said everything beautiful, what government we should do and what they shouldn't do, how they should go about the things they will do, things that the citizens of this country should enjoy. Then they now came to section 6, subsection 6, paragraph C of the Constitution, and now tells you that chapter 2, we said all those things, is not enforceable. What does it mean?
You see, if I will come in there, you know, when it has to do with government, for instance, when there is a budget does not mean implementation, because inside the budget they can say, okay, we are going to give Omodoga 24-hour power. We'll provide a plant for them. We'll fund the diesel. We'll do that and that and that. 2 billion. We are going to give Elele dual carriage road. They put the figure there, as the case may be. Now that's like a proposal. Now, if government is not able to generate the funds, the resources to embark or implement that promise in that budget, they are not liable. That's part of the understanding. So we would desire that you have lights, we would desire that you have good pipe-borne water, but in case we are not able to do it, it's not an offense, it's not a criminal offense, because there are circumstances that can hinder us from not doing it. So I think that's the foresight and the wisdom that they foresaw. Well, you know, so I feel...
Okay, so who do you hold responsible in such a situation?
So at this, you see, when we are operating a democratic system...
Sorry, sir. Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So that, you know, we are here to look at this issue.
Yes.
Budgets are signed into law, right?
Yes.
Before... So when a budget is signed into law, is it not a law?
No, you see, let me come. We are talking about the implementation here now. When this, before it's a law, it's a guide.
Yes.
So that as a governor, for instance, or as a president, you are given the right to spend resources within this level, to generate resources within this angle, and in every budget there is always an opening, because the unexpected can happen. For instance, like Nigeria, that is almost like a mono-economy driven country, even though we have other sources of resources.
Yes.
Once they can make a budget when the price of crude is 100 naira, and then along the line, the price of crude drops to 7 naira.
Okay.
You see the challenges.
Yes.
So if you now want to hold government accountable for the budget promise they made, you know, you may not be fair to them.
So you're saying we should not make budgets because there might be some cases
No,
that might
no. Budget is a guide. So they are also being intelligent enough to tell you that there may be hindrances in regard to our earlier promise in that session you are quoting, which is not our fault. You are getting it?
Okay, now let me tell you how this can work.
Okay.
Let me now tell you how I got the clear picture of what you are. Of course, that is the way it is in Nigeria. You are correct. But now, let us now look at how do we come out of this web.
Okay.
Now, if you delete section 6, subsection 6, paragraph C of the Constitution, and then you introduce another section of the Constitution that will now say that any government in power, whatever they say in their budget, must be implemented. They failure to implement that thing you said before you presented your budget to the state or national assembly. You would have seen the propensity or the possibility of you doing that thing. Now, all these are the things you want to do. You look at the resources that you use to do this thing. Now, when the resources comes, assuming that you propose to do to electrify the entire River State with 10 billion in River State now, and then luckily you got 10 billion, you must do that. You must electrify River State. It will now close the opportunity of politicians. Now you have budgeted 10 billion for electricity. You just came, put poles, At the end of the day, work stopped. Those who, your cronies and you have diverted the entire funds. So because you know that section, and it's because of this section that government can do project halfway and run away. Nobody will hold them accountable. So you know that this thing is no longer there. Now you have budgeted 10 billion, and the constitution says whatever you state in your budget, you must do it. Whatever you do during your manifesto that is included in your budget, you must do it. You know that what the constitution is saying is that you must be held accountable.
You see, I think you have a valid point. You see, for instance, now you have a budget. When you talk about budget, sometimes you have a carryover indebtedness, maybe from the previous year, calendar year. You now talk about the new year. What are we going to do? Which is like the vision for the year.
Yes.
And then you now talk about the funding. The funding is a critical, resource for budget implementation. And that's where challenges usually come most times. But again, I understand the fact that if you say 10 billion for electrification and you got 10 billion, you should, first of all, electrify. Now, government cannot be run that way. The reason is that you have unexpected, for instance, you are expecting disaster now, flood. And then because the law ties you that it is only electricity because it's 10 billion, so you must concentrate on the budget of electricity. So other areas of government will suffer. So that's why it is only the challenge of good leadership.
Okay, now, sorry, sir. We are discussing.
Go ahead, please.
Now, without prejudice to the governor of Rivers State or anyone. Now, Rivers State, for some months now, we have not had any complaint that there's no money in the state. But if you watch the development pace at the moment, the governor is a bit concentrating in the fight that is surrounding him now. I don't know if you understand.
That's what your thoughts, okay.
That's what we are seeing now in the state. It's not just my thought. That's what I know.
Perception to what is going
God bless
on.
you. That's my perception, and that perception is correct. The governor is paying better attention to overcoming the battles surrounding him, more than coming out with certain projects, and the money is there. Now, government will tell you we don't have money to do this project. Yet, those who are in government are buying properties that are running in billions. Where is the money coming from? So even if we say you are going to do electricity in your budget, you know how much is called. For instance, you've been a governor. Next year, you present a budget. You already know how much your government is generating. You present a budget of 10 billion naira to assembly. You say, hey, to 1 billion. This one 1 billion. This one 1 billion. This one that's why you outline the entire thing. Remember, government also have reserved funds. Some of them tell you they are saving. Now, if you know that you still have to tackle natural occurrences, okay, you can keep 1 billion to tackle all those emergencies. But what we are saying is, those things you say you must do, you shouldn't start them and run away and abandon them.
Yeah, I think
because money has
these
been.
Emergencies also do not come all the time.
Yeah,
so in those times when these cases that you have mentioned was not the case, there was no emergency to handle. There was nothing that made it more expensive. In fact, the cases that happened at that time made it even it was not less than what was actually budgeted. What happens then? Is there going to be any sort of accountability to say, oh, this is how much we spent and this is what
that's
is
where,
and
that's
then let me
where
ask so you can answer them at once. Sometimes we used to have the benefit of excess crude.
Exactly.
What happens to those money?
Now,
even when those monies were not budgeted, but they come, what happens to them?
First of all, we have leadership problem. We have men that are immoral who are in government. Because if we have men of good conscience, we have patriotic leaders who meant well for their people, I don't think budget will be a challenge.
Yes.
What we'll be talking about is accountability of resources
That's exactly what we're talking about.
That's what we are saying.
That's what I'm trying to target. Because our challenge is not that this was not in the budget. Our challenge is the mismanagement of our resources.
Okay.
Now, like I said, when you make something constitutional, it will not be peculiar to a state. It becomes a national decision.
Of course.
So when a particular state is able to meet up and another state cannot meet up, it becomes a challenge. Mind you, when you have the constitution, you also have state laws.
Yes.
And then the state laws will be done in a way to make governance comfortable for that particular state.
But not outside the constitution, obviously.
No, not outside. You know, when you draft a constitution and you give that opening for states to also make laws to govern their state, indirectly you are setting aside some part of the constitution.
No.
Let me come. It's a political arrangement. You are not going against a known issues in the constitution, but like the issue of budget we are talking about, for it to become a law is when the state assembly passes it, right?
Sorry, you know why? Because the constitution says the governor must present his budget before the state house of assembly.
So when the state laws are in line,
it must be consistent by section 1 subsection 3 of the constitution. It must be consistent and in line with the provisions of the constitution. Anything that is not in line is inconsistent.
No, that's what we are saying now.
Yes.
If you have made a law, right, and then you said for the implementation for you to now have what you want to do, you still have to come up with your decisions.
Now the decision will now be how the money will now be disseminated amongst the different or several parts.
But that's where we have the challenge.
Let's get back to your earlier statements when we were talking about accountability and holding these people responsible for the monies that have been allocated for their various sections of the budget, right? So if you have agreed in your statement that we have some, in your words, some leaders that are immoral, that's how you put it. So if we have it in mind that we have these kind of people in leadership, how do you suggest that we hold them accountable?
You see, that is why even when you finish in government, you see issues of corrupt cases coming up. Because part of the challenges in our constitution is that as a governor, you have immunity while you are in office. So you can't be challenged until you are out
of office.
So sometimes most of these abnormalities, these corrupt practices are not brought to book. Not until the exit of that governor.
Do you know why? You know why?
Maybe let me hear you.
Because there's a lacuna in the constitution. Now, assuming that the constitution that gives the governor that immunity now coming to say, as a governor, so and so time, the moment that day before you leave, which will be the day your immunity ends, that it is mandatory for a governor to call for a conference where the governor will give account of stewardship to the people, that without you not giving, in fact, the law should even criminalize the failure of any office holder to give to make an account of stewardship on the day of exit. So if we have a law that has come to say, madam, as a governor, you are leaving your hand over so and so day, but before that day to that day, you have to call the stakeholders of the entire state, the women, the social, either in a stadium or anywhere, and give account of stewardship. And then the record of your account, and the record of the money that came into your government, and the record of how you spent that money must be at public space, and everybody should have access to it. My brother, I can tell you for sure that before anybody goes to buy any private property, he will ensure that which he said is going to do, because when you take the money, I don't do this accountability, and people already have the document that, you know, has to do with your administration. Where do you think you will run to?
You see, when you are
when
you are leaving government, there's usually handover notes.
Yes.
And then when a new government comes in, it's because of what they see that they begin to maybe file a suit against the former government and whatsoever.
If they are not in good terms.
When they study it. And again, you also know that the law gives provision for asset declaration.
Yes.
These are part of what the constitution, the law provides to checkmate corrupt practices.
Yes.
But the only challenge, we know how to beat corners as Nigerians. We are good in that. Not that we do not have laws that are provided to check corrupt practices.
Yes.
But it's unfortunate that most of our laws are not
utilized.
We are not utilizing them. So we have beautiful laws. That's why I said that our challenge is leadership problem. If we have men of good conscience and morals, I don't think we'll be talking about compelling somebody.
Right.
We already have beautiful laws, but we just need good leaders that will mean well
for us.
And while we wait for good leaders that will mean well for us, we also need to look at holding them accountable and implementing the
don't you think that for instance, if this constitutional amendment now they come up with something to say before any governor, before the next election, for instance, you are the governor of Rivers State for 4 years and then election is coming, before that election, you as the governor of Rivers State, we have to call Rivers people with all the documents and give account of stewardship. That alone will now determine whether Rivers people will even support the candidate you are bringing or not. Because if your account is porous, there are issues here and there, they will know that you are not a good person. Whoever you are bringing will also be corrupt.
No. You see, outside the constitution, as we wrapped up, outside the constitution, you also know you have your electoral acts. Now, candidates are screened. We are in a system where the people do not really decide who governs them because of the corruption surrounding some of our institutions. So if we are in a system where the people decide who governs them, then what you are talking about will be important. So I want to feel that our various institutions, must be righteous enough. Then our people who are the electorate also need to be alive, because we don't have that right. Your vote is not what determines who becomes who.
But if we do it that way, our vote will now begin to count.
No. We have the right, and it doesn't mean that we should not do the right things because there are no righteous people in your world.
No, we have the right.
There are righteous people
but
or not. Let us do the right things. Let us implement what needs to be implemented. Let us hold those who are supposed to be held accountable.
No, we have seen
while we continue with orientation.
We have seen where people failed the election because they did not do well. We have seen.
All right, at this point we'll go on a short break, and then after that the conversation will definitely continue. We have lots of other stories to discuss. Please stay with us.
From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN. From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you standing by and staying right here with us on ATN. I hope you're having an amazing time because we are right here in the studio. Let's move on to the next story. The federal government plans to introduce tolls on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and other major roads after their construction or renovation, according to the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. He made the announcement during an inter-ministerial press briefing in Abuja, marking Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. The expressway, the second Niger Bridge, and Abuja-Kano Road are among those to be tolled. Now, Umahi further explained that the private sector will be engaged to fund and manage the tolling, with a focus on ensuring confidence in road use. The Kefi-Makurdi Road will be the first to implement the paperless tolling system in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance. Okay, talking about Dave Umahi, Minister of Works, and especially when it has to do with road projects, and this particular road that will be tolled upon completion. Yes, Barrister, let's get your thoughts on this one first.
For me, I don't have any issue in this road tolling that the federal government is coming up with.
But on Dave Umahi's administration so far?
His administration?
Dave Umahi's tenure, what should we use for that now? But all the while,
his
since Dave Umahi,
as a minister for works.
How do you think he has done so far?
He has not done well.
Why? You're the first person I'm hearing that
Have you traveled from Abuja? Yes, I'll have to say my own part.
Yes, of course.
Based on my own personal experience.
I want to know why.
Have you recently traveled from Abuja on road to Port Harcourt? There's no road. The moment you get to after Kogi State, you get to Edo State. That from that Auchi Road, you can spend 5 hours on hold up. Sometimes people come down, use another vehicle that will not bring them down to this Benin side before they can come down to Asaba. If you also try to follow Benue to Enugu, down to this other part, there's no road. There's no road. That road up to now is still the way it has been. Probably Umahi would have been working other places and it hasn't gotten to that point. But from my own personal experience, the last time I went to Abuja, I went through.
You don't even know what else he has done.
I have not seen. I don't know exactly.
As long as you had a bad experience with
if he can walk on Abuja Road down to Port Harcourt, then he has done well.
Ambassador.
Well, I think let me join to congratulate them for our Nigerians. We all are Nigerian. Our 45 independence, right? Is it 45?
It's not 45, 60.
It's
60, 64.
Okay, 64.
Yes.
Nigeria is 64. Okay, congratulations to Nigerians.
How did you take us back to 40, Ambassador?
Well, we are just living in the country.
We're in our 60s. We're
in our 60s. Okay, congratulations and happy independence to all of us. No matter the situation, we still want to say thank God. On the issue of toll, my brother talked about traveling from Abuja to
Port Harcourt.
And that's why they never even said there will be a toll, because they have not given you good road. So where they are talking about toll is from Abuja, Kano, going to Kano.
Yes.
Maybe there is a good road going to Kano, so they can toll them. Then the issue of Lagos too, I think they are constructing that road so they can toll them. But my greatest worriedness is, what will this money be used for? The money we are going to generate from the toll, because that's where the challenge is always. Our problem has never been money, but it's the utilization of this money. Just like you drive to the airport, now the prices have increased. Before we used to pay 200 naira. Now if you drive a big car, 500 naira. You know, and they give you a receipt. And government is not talking about the revenues that we accrue from the airport. You go to airport, you park your car. As you park your car, you pay.
No, before you park, you pay. The moment
you
drive in, that
entrance you enter,
you
pay
first.
That entrance of car park, you pay again. Double taxation.
And the money is not recorded.
No, that's the point I'm saying now.
That money there in the airport is not recorded.
Okay. Now again,
maintenance.
Are we not allocating money for the maintenance of the airport? You didn't park well in the line, in that line that you are supposed to park is an offense.
And you pay.
Only God knows how much they will charge you when you mistakenly do that. No caution, you must pay. Now, the issue of the toll again. For me, the toll is a good one because it will help checkmate if it is digitalized, to also check criminal activities on the road. I think it will be a good one if the emphasis is not on revenue generation.
All right,
because that's where we have always gotten it wrong. Our focus is always on revenue, and then the revenue too, we are not even seeing the impact on it, on Nigerians.
Right.
You know, so my own is that good one, but we need to know what that money will be used for, so that as we don't know what that money they are collecting at the airport from us when we drive to the airport and park, we need to also know what that money they used to collect from us at the airport, what they use it for, so that if we are paying money and we are seeing the impact of this money, I don't think it will be a problem, even though we are complaining. You know, but we are being compelled that you must pay, because if you don't pay, you must go back. You will not even enter. So I like to encourage that these multiple ways of generating revenues for the country, and yet we are still borrowing money. If our these taxations are not helpful, can't we just leave us alone and then keep on borrowing money to run this country with the one that we are getting from crude oil?
Talking about accountability and monies and increase, the Minister of Interior, as Olubunmi Tunjojo, he has justified the recent 45% increase in passport fees, and he has cited the exchange rate as a key factor. Now you have been told why, right? We were told why. The cost for a 32-page passport rose from 35,000 to 50,000 naira, with the 64-page passport increasing from 70,000 to 100,000 naira. Tunjojo clarified that the government cannot subsidize passport fees, and he emphasized that the increase doesn't apply to Nigerians abroad. He reassured Nigerians that the government isn't exploiting citizens, but simply covering costs. Additionally, Tunjojo announced improvement in passport acquisition processes for Nigerians in diaspora, with automated systems set to launch by October, and he confirmed that passport backlogs have been cleared. So the improvement in the processes for Nigerians that are in diaspora. So for the process with Nigerians that are in Nigeria, we still have to keep navigating through the bottlenecks. But let's get your thoughts on the passport increase. You've heard the various pages and the amount that has been allocated, and the minister saying that the government cannot subsidize this one.
Why?
he said because of the economic challenges and what is going on.
It
was stated. I just listed out for you.
Which economic challenge that is affecting the passport?
Which of the economic challenges are not affecting the passport?
The resources they are using to manage all these things, is it not allocated from the coffers of federal government? All you need to do is to apply. So which costs are they trying to overcome? All these things are not just necessary. They are not.
The increase, what is not necessary?
What is increasing it?
They buy paper, the paper price.
Ambassador, you don't have to do this right now.
They buy paper. When all these things, are they not included?
Let's take it back to his statement so that we can read it verbatim now. Can we take it back to his statement? Because when I read it before, I had to make sure that you were listening, and from your expression it looked like you were listening, okay. But now it seemed like you didn't hear it.
No, I didn't want to
go back. Can we go back to that part of the story?
Okay, let's go back.
Is it the second paragraph so that we can help you understand better? But while we're trying to go back to that part, Ambassador,
I think he's always trying to say that because of the issue of dollar exchange rate, and then the inflation in the markets, because they don't.
For the paper price.
So there is a process in getting the document for the e-passport. I must comment that the process is a little bit easier now, because I did mine.
So what changed? What's the difference now compared to what it used to be?
It's not, the duration is very within 2 days.
Which of them? For the normal one or for express?
Any of the one.
When you pay express.
You see, you are the one that is calling it express.
No, I'm not the one calling it express.
You know why I say so? That word for express is informal. It's not known to the law.
That's for those who want it quick.
Yeah. So when you say express, that's why I said
corner.
It's not known to the law. Even though I did express.
So you will not say.
But I cannot.
You can say it's not known to the law. You understand? No, you can say it's not known. It's not according to the law. That is illegal. Do you understand? But
it's still the same thing now.
No, but to say I am the one calling it express, but you just said that you did express, that means you understand the language.
You see, let us proceed. Like I said, I commend the immigration in the speedy process of getting your e-passports.
Okay.
And now I also commend them because the era of bureaucracy too. Now you can apply for your e-passport online. You mustn't, subject yourself to the office for the processing. You can just, do that. If you are computer literate, you can do that. So I think there is great lot of improvement on the issue of increment of the price from 35,000 to
50,000
naira. Well, it's
almost the additional money is almost the money of the
15,000
previous amount.
15,000 difference. And I know that anybody who will want to go to the immigration office to get e-passport, if you want to travel abroad, you understand that you must be a millionaire right now. You must have a lot of millions. So 50,000 will not be a prayer point for somebody who wants to travel abroad right now, knowing the cost of tickets, knowing the cost of
some people are going there on scholarship. Some other people are just getting their passports.
So should we take the fact that anybody who is applying as a millionaire, therefore put it in such a way that if a common man desires to travel, the common man cannot afford it?
No, well, in the present economy, 50,000 naira is hard to get, but it's as useless as we can imagine.
Yes.
Our challenge and our prayers all the time in this country is not about these amounts, but the source of income. Like I said the other day, if you want to talk about 50,000 in American dollars, is it up to $30?
It's not up to.
It's not up to. So you can see just money for 2 bottles of Cokes or 3. that we drink. But because our naira is devalued, that's why it looks as if when we call this amount of money, it looks big. But when you cross the shores of where they are using dollar, it becomes a very small money. So that's why the issue of our naira value needs to be given good attention. But in any way,
this issue, what the federal government is doing now is what we call shifting of burden. Shifting of burden. You were the one who removed fuel subsidy, which now resulted to high cost of living, high cost of production, high cost of processing of materials and goods and services in the marketplace. And now you are now coming to increase the price of what you are issuing to the same people, which is your responsibility to do, because cost of production is high. Are you not indirectly shifting the burden of your policy on the people? That's what is happening.
All right. So talking about shifting burdens, and it means you agree that it's actually a burden that you feel the federal government should carry and not moving it.
Exactly.
But let's look at, they mentioned the economy. Ambassador also made reference to inflation, the naira, and all of what is going on right now. Let's look at what NATI has said. NATI's statement about some oil and gas companies owing the federal government. Well, Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NATI, that's on our next story now, has revealed that oil and gas companies that are operating in the country owe the federal government about $6 billion, that's $6.71 billion, and 66.4 billion naira in unpaid revenues as of June this year. That's 2024. This was disclosed in NATI's 2022-2023 Independent Oil and Gas Industry Report during its unveiling in Abuja. Now, NATI's Executive Secretary, Dr. Ogbonnaya Oji, has highlighted the need for improved compliance and transparency in the industry. The report has showed outstanding royalties, gas flare penalties, taxes, and VATs that are owed to Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and the Federal Inland Revenue Services. What do you have to say about an economy that is biting at the moment, and the debts that we are even owing as a country, and having in mind all of these monies that some oil and gas companies are owing the country?
So the big question is, why are they owing? If my production is not effective, the fact that you have laws for me to pay tax, my business is not working because of insecurity, right? Pipeline vandalization. So we must also look at the remote causes why the oil and gas companies are not meeting up to their taxations and their revenues. Now, of course, we also know some companies that are very, what do you call it? What do you call that footballer? Abidi Pele, right? They know how to dribble and maneuver. Maradona, right? Thank you. Maradona is known for soccer. That can Maradona their ways, in terms of taxation, in terms of doing their needful. They are failing, intentionally even in their social corporate responsibilities, to communities. So I will want to encourage that for companies, most of them are having challenges. We knew that. Like, for instance, Ajip has been sold to Owando, right? So if Ajip is owing the federal government, do you expect them to pay? Again, that debt will almost be like bad debts, because Owando may not want to inherit that debt, that liability, to a greater extent.
But they don't have option. Once you buy the asset of a company,
you buy the liability. That's in the area where things are done righteously, if I will use that word. Because you find a system, because they have sold it to Owando, The indebtedness of NAOC, for instance, I'm not saying they're indebted because we never found the records of companies that are indebted. So we are just using it as a case study so that NAOC could not say they are owing. You know, so I want to request that with all fairness, as a government, let us try and protect the investment of our people, not just in the oil sectors and gas. Because if my business is doing well and you are asking me for taxation, for revenue, I'll be glad, I'll be happy to pay. But in this case where I have to now go and borrow money from another source just to meet up my obligation with government revenues and tax, you know, is not too healthy.
Do you know the funny part of it? Some of these companies that you're saying might not be paying these royalties or whatever because of the state of their finance at the moment. There are countries, some of them might be foreign companies. Now, these foreign companies in their own countries, can they do the same thing?
No. You see, that's
can they owe their government this much and not want to pay because they feel like they are not making enough to pay and they cannot borrow to pay?
No, the kind of challenges we have here. For instance,
it's not down to the challenges.
No, let me come. You know, we talked about taxation last time here, and I said the fact that you go to America, citizens are paying tax, is not applicable in Nigeria, because in America, government provide for her citizens.
Ambassador, please listen to the aspect I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at the aspect where you said their finance might not be enough to pay these royalties to the government, and they cannot go and borrow to then meet up government obligations. No,
I didn't get. Maybe you didn't get me right.
Those are your statements.
No, I said that, for instance, I gave an instance. I didn't.
This
say,
is an instance that I'm giving. I'm making
reference to let me hear you. Okay, let me hear you.
I'm hinging on your instance, the example that you made.
Okay, let me hear you.
And I'm saying that some of these same companies, for the same reason of not having enough finance to meet up with government obligations, will not be allowed in certain climes to continue with that. Okay, let's even look at some of the reasons that they are. Let's look at gas flaring in the first place. We know what this is doing. Some people might not know, but this is very detrimental to our environment.
And you cannot hold government liable or blame government for gas flare. You can only hold
these companies liable. So if now we have analyzed this gas flaring of a thing, and we have realized that even the penalties that the government is asking them to pay is very minute. Why people have been complaining that we need to increase it. That this is something that has been there for years, this particular amount, it is minute compared to the environmental degradation that this is causing. So if the amount for gas flare, the penalty for gas flare is that minute, then why are companies even owing to that level? But Ambassador, you continue, but let's bring Barrister Omai into the conversation.
You people have already said it all. Because there are laws that prohibits companies, oil and gas companies, from engaging in gas flaring. Gas flaring itself is an offense. Now, if a company engages in it and government finds them culpable and says pay, you can't be raising we shall not be arguing, raising the issue of security, because it is not the issue of security that made them to
flare the gas.
To flare the gas. So they have to pay. Now the question is, why wouldn't they pay? Why are they not paying? That's one. Taxes. When a company enters into a country, you're expected to pay your tax. Not so. And you have accepted you pay your tax. So why haven't you paid? Haven't you been selling your products? Have you not been working?
Now, you want a response?
No, I'm just I'm just giving my opinion. You are not these oil and gas spokesperson. Do you understand? So I really don't think that they have any excuse on why they should not pay the money they are owing federal government.
Well, I think there are excuses. What are those excuses? One is still the bad attitude of Nigerians. who are saddled with the responsibility of demanding
the money,
these
the debts,
these taxations. Ordinarily, with the oil company alone, they will want to pay this tax. But you will see somebody in government, somebody in the agencies of recovery of this money, will prefer to get his own share and give them what do you call it?
Waiver.
Give they go ahead.
Yes.
Well, since you cannot pay for now, okay, just find us
something.
But at the end of the day, it's still not a waiver because it's in the record.
At least they will allow them to continue operation.
So, but if they know that that's the case, why can't the company, observe some level of fidelity by saying, understanding that they are owing government? You pay it directly into the federal government account. Instead of trying to cut corners to
talking about all of these things, all of these agreements, all of these things were made before time, right? The companies knew what they were going into when they came into Nigeria to start up. They know what they signed for. They know the agreement that they had with the federal government. So all of those things, there are no excuses for any company to not keep to its part of the agreement. An agreement is an agreement. But let's look at the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Engineer Joseph, and what he has actually said about them keeping to their words. That's Joseph would say he has pledged to complete ongoing water projects that are aimed at enhancing food production during the Inter-Ministerial Committee's briefing for Nigeria's 64th independence. Now you've seen it again, 64. He highlighted the ministry's role in ensuring sustainable water access, contributing to various social and economic needs. And moving on, he has listed achievements such as the commissioning of the dams in Niger, Kogi, and Benue states, and ongoing projects like the Adaris irrigation projects in Anambra and Enugu. And he has emphasized the importance of rehabilitation or rehabilitating older dams to tackle flooding, attributing recent incidents to climate change. Now, this is a promise that the minister has made, and he has urged Nigerians and investors to support irrigation and water management initiatives to get to boost food production. That this would really help when you talk about food production. Remember, we have been addressing the issue of hunger in Nigeria. Currently, we have been addressing the issue of hunger in Nigeria. So these promises by the Minister of Water Resources, it brings us to the next story that we will be looking at when we talk about bribe now. You made reference to this story earlier about Bobrisky and VDM. That's a very dark black man. Prison controllers have been suspended over allegations on Bobrisky. Now, if we move on to the details of this story, where the federal government has suspended 2 senior officers of the Nigeria Correctional Service over the alleged infractions that are related to the incarceration of celebrity cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky. This follows a voice recording by social media influencer Martins Vincent, that's a very dark man, in which Bobrisky claimed that he bribed the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, that's EFCC, with 15 million naira to drop money laundering charges against him. And so they held on to the naira abuse. EFCC Chairman Olukoyede and Minister of Interior Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo have ordered investigations. Moving on with this story, suspended officers include Michael Anungwa and Sikiru Adekunle, both deputy controllers of corrections at Kirikiri facilities. The suspensions are to facilitate further investigation, while the House of Representatives has initiated a probe into both the EFCC and the NCOS. Now, Bobrisky has since deleted all the posts from Instagram. This story has been a long time coming, and for the fact that the barrister mentioned it earlier, it is obvious that he is conversant with what's going on with that story. And then, Ambassador, the other day, you and I had this conversation about this particular story. Now, moving on, we're seeing that some actions have been taken.
Good. So it means, like I said the other day, that we believe that the EFCC will want to clean their name. And we believe that the agencies of government will not take it lightly.
Okay.
So we have seen a proactive measures towards that allegation. Like I started last time, that dealing with Bobby is risky. And we have seen the riskiness of dealing with Bobby. So we pray that at the end of the investigation, we'll know who is saying the truth, like I said last time, and who is saying the lies. But I'm happy that government, the agencies responsible have, take the matter in a way that will not, continue to blackmail the image of our country and our government institutions. So they have done well. So let us see how it goes with Bobby and the riskiness of those who indulge business with him.
All right, barrister.
Well, that allegation for me is a very serious one that cannot be swept under the carpet. And of course, the persons involved. The controller of Nigerian prison has been involved, EFCC is involved, and then I read somewhere where the Falana's family was threatening to sue Very Dark Man for publishing, for making that publication on the ground that the publication has portrayed Fax the bad boy.
Yes.
Fax, who also answers bad boy. Fax the fast boy as a homosexual
according
person.
to all of these allegations.
Yes, but the only place I told someone that Very Dark Man will be held liable is him now going to publish that conversation without the consent of the person that recorded it. So somebody was saying Very Dark Man did not do it. I said no. Who published it? Did he obtain the consent of the person, even if somebody recorded it without publishing it?
Yes.
And also the person who recorded it without the consent of the person he was communicating with, that, look, I want to record our conversation. So these are the issues. However, the moment they find out or it is shown that something like that happened, a lot of persons it will cut across even Falana himself. Because they also alleged that they paid 10 million naira to the bad guy for his father to intervene in order for them to secure pardon. I don't know if you...
Yes, that was mentioned.
So
that was
now, if all these things
notes.
now happens to be true, there will be issue. Now the question is, if it's not true, why would Bobrisky now begin to delete those conversations,
videos and pictures?
And why would Bobrisky now pay the said young man that she was owing, even paid 5 million instead of 4 million? And Bobrisky has not come out to say this conversation did not emanate from me. She has not said it is not true. Now she also now she had the column. He
said in he was asked, are you a man, are you male or female? And he said he is male. So let's work with that.
Okay, now assuming that thing did not happen,
yes,
or is not correct, first Bobrisky would have debunked that record did not come from him.
He has said that. He said that wasn't his voice. That wasn't him.
Okay, that wasn't his voice.
He said anything can be doctored.
Do you know, doctor what? Then why did he pay 5 million instead of 4 million?
That's one big question he has to answer.
No, you see, yeah, you as a lawyer, you will not be given what you didn't ask for.
Yes.
Now, the matter in question is, was there corrupt practice?
Yes.
In the detention of Bobrisky and the release? That's the bone of contention.
Yes.
Now, we believe that in as much as we have condemned the people whose name are mentioned, we have also tried to ask what could be the reason behind it.
Yes.
And the accused, which would be Bobby the risky man, have not agreed that he is the author of that discussion. So we wait for the investigation to conclude and then see who is telling the truth
and who is lying.
Telling the lies. So, but in any case, like we have commended the agencies of government to for taking up the matter
exactly
in a serious manner.
Exactly.
You know, suspending the correctional center controller, you know, is a good one, so that justice would, the investigation will not be suppressed.
Exactly.
We believe that whosoever that is involved around that accusation, you know, will come out and say the truth, you know, so that we can, for once, have respect for our institutions, because we are being portrayed, you know, all over that our institutions are corrupt, are weak, and all of that. So one of these things will also help to say, okay, our institutions is actually truthful, though. It was just mere allegation, and it has been cleared, and then the man will be brought back to office. But if it is true, it's also a way to show that we have corrupt people in the system, and if you are found wanting, you'll be shown out of the system. So I think this matter that involves Bobby the Risky will help us as a country to redeem part of the image of our government institutions and parastatals. So let's see how the investigation
Let's
goes.
see how risky this can get.
It's a risky one.
All right, a lot of people are involved in this particular story, and like the barrister has said, if everybody's waiting, Nigerians are waiting, and even Nigerians in diaspora, different parts of the world, this story has gone far. And a lot of people now are involved. And to think that top officials were mentioned in that voice note, which Bobrisky has said is not his voice, that it could be doctored and it could be anybody. But down to the statement of, can't really remember the name now, but there was an interview with someone who was in the system of the correctional service, and he stated that the reason they did not put Bobrisky in the male prison is because he has the features of a woman. And that particular video has been trending since that interview. I think that interview was yesterday or so. That because he is a woman, or he has the features of a woman, he could not be put amongst men. That could be risky. So you're talking about things that are risky. And then putting him amongst, because according to him, he said there are unrepentant homosexuals in some of these prisons, according to him. So putting him there will put him at risk. So that is probably why he wasn't put there. But that's the explanation that was actually given concerning that particular situation to help some Nigerians understand. I want us to take a...
But when Bobrisky came out, Bobrisky said that he was in male.
Yes, he said he was male, yes.
And that it was fun because they saw him as a different person. So that he enjoyed his stay in the male cell. So why would the prison this thing come up with this?
No, the person who said, he said it's an correctional, not in service. Yes. So his statement cannot be factful.
No, but then, even though his statement cannot be factful, when he was making that statement, he wasn't saying it like probably the reasons they may not have. He said the reasons they did not. He was talking like someone who has. He was talking like someone who has like some word of an information about what's going on.
If we are talking about the federal government now, and I make a statement, I'm not government spokesman. It's not an official statement. So that man that spoke cannot be speaking for the correctional center because it's not an official of the correctional center. So it's not an official statement. That's why I said that.
But he has an insight of what happened.
No, you see, there's difference between what you say and official statement. For instance, if the Rivers State government is speaking, if a government official in Rivers State government speaks, you can say this person represents the government of Rivers State. But if a citizen, like as we are, speaks on a matter...
If an ex-governor, right? Because this is someone in a position
an ex-governor cannot speak officially on Rivers State matter.
I want us to take a very short break now, very short one. We'll return to continue this conversation. Please stay right here with us. Don't go anywhere.
My own desire is for them to even arrest him back and keep him more.
But I think God is trying to... Either he repents,
exactly,
or God